I'm not an expert on that particular question, but it's quite clear in the teaching of Jesus. Remember, Jesus is not teaching the law of Moses in the letter. He's going way above that, fulfilling the law, giving it new meaning. And under his teaching, it is possible to break the Sabbath. In fact, you're not bound by the weekly Sabbath at all, or the holy day. And it is lawful, and he uses that example from the Old Testament, because a greater thing, he said, is here than the temple. Rabbis themselves said that the Sabbath was not greater than the temple. They knew that. It wasn't meant to restrict people in a harsh way. I don't know of any verse in the Old Testament, in the law of Moses, in the letter, which explains what doing good on the Sabbath might be. Certainly, that was very tough. If you picked up sticks on a Friday night, you're dead. So the law of the Sabbath is inflexible, but there was an exception for priests, where Jesus said, precisely, the priests who work in the temple are not bound by Sabbath keeping. They're working. So even there was a hint, if you like, a forward-looking glance at the new Torah of Messiah. And one must get the distinction then, we'll keep emphasizing 1 Corinthians 9:20, between the Torah of Messiah and the Torah of Moses. Those are distinct things. If you want to be in the right covenant, that's to say the new covenant, you're going to have to listen to the words of Jesus, which he ratified eventually on the cross. He covenanted. If you look in 22 of Luke, it wasn't just giving them the kingdom. He made a covenant with them as the Father had covenanted with him, Jesus, to give them the kingdom. The Christianity of Jesus in the new covenant is the preaching of the gospel of the kingdom. That's where you start. Do not begin with Paul. Start with Jesus, and Paul, of course, reflects Jesus. Well, some things Jesus was not able even to reveal to them during his life on the earth, but he said the Spirit would come and guide them into all truth. He used Paul rather massively, I think, to continue that developing Torah of Messiah. He then shed his blood, because all covenants are ratified by blood. You give your all when you die. So you put your maximum emphasis, your maximum commitment in the covenant, into the covenant, based on the words of Jesus. Let me just add this. In Matthew 7:28, when Jesus had finished all these sayings, this occurs 5 times, showing he's the new Moses. He went up on the mountain, the mount where the Sermon on the Mount was given, parallel to Moses, who also went up on a mountain and got law. Jesus is giving us the new Torah. He's the prophet like Moses, a repeat of Moses in some sense, but way ahead of Moses. Moses is nothing compared with Jesus. So the voice we listen to now, the teaching of Jesus, is everything. When Jesus had finished these words, you can check it out yourself, look them up using your Bible Work software if you can, or other helps available on the internet. 5 times in the Gospel of Matthew, you'll find that famous chorus. You can't just be reading a verse and hope for the best. You must be in a position to teach this to other people. For the length of time, in Hebrews it says, the length of time you've been a Christian, you ought to be teaching others. Get busy and be an activist for these marvelous truths. There's a wide audience out there. 5 sections of Matthew showing that Jesus is the new Torah giver, the Torah of Messiah. Paul is keen to say, I, Paul, am a Jew. I'm not under the law. I'm not under the law. Well, you shouldn't be. You're following Paul, who is following Jesus. Now we're getting somewhere. Guess what? Christianity is based on what Jesus taught. Paul is following Jesus as the apostle of Jesus, and we ought to be following that system, not going back under the shadow of the law. That schoolmaster law is finished, not getting you anywhere to try to be obedient to all the things of the Torah of Moses in the letter. Move forward to the new covenant and the Torah of Jesus in the Spirit. Then the Spirit will flow in your life. You won't be squelching and confusing the Spirit of the truth by trying to mix the 2 covenants. They don't go well together.